Good morning. We are here at Unite Austin live, and we are live streaming to Facebook and YouTube. We want to give you at home an idea of what it's like to attend a Unite conference. So I'm Sarah.
I'm Will.
And we're both from Unity. A little bit about yesterday. We had a fabulous day one, lots of great sessions. I even got a chance to go to some sessions. Which,
you actually did?
Yeah,
Oh,
which
okay,
I
good.
never get to do, so it was really fun. And
what did you see?
well, I saw a great augmented reality session by two Unity developers talking about the future of that. I also went to the Women in Gaming event hosted by our very own John Riccatello and Elizabeth Brown. That was super inspirational. And then the Neil Blomkamp and Oates Q&A.
Nice.
So I got a nice mixture in. And then, of course, we had the party. So
yeah.
The
and it's also worth pointing out that all of the talks that we have will be archived on YouTube. So if you want to go back and watch any of the stuff that you missed, or if you couldn't make it to Unite Austin, that's the whole point of this show, after all, you can go and watch them after the fact.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's introduce our first guest.
Sounds great.
So our first guest is Jaime Bencia. He is a Senior Creative Director of Digital Domain, and he's been working on some Voltron properties, so it's pretty exciting. Jaime, welcome.
How's it going? Glad to be here.
Thank you for coming. So, Voltron, pretty cool property. How did you first get involved with it?
Well, I think about 2 years ago or so, Digital Domain was looking into the VR realm, right? I mean, Digital Domain has been involved in Hollywood projects, big Hollywood blockbusters for a really long time as far as visual effects, even 360-degree VR projects, which they kind of have on their app right now. But they started thinking, let's start getting into more of the VR, the virtual reality space. And they had a conversation with DreamWorks, and one thing led to another, and they started realizing like Voltron VR or Voltron itself would be the perfect property for VR. I mean, it's really colorful, it's really cartoony, it's vibrant, it's just really an exciting property, right? There's so much you can do with it. So I think at that point, Digital Domain and DreamWorks together decided let's go ahead and move forward with it. Let's make a VR property of this.
Awesome. I think another great thing about it is, of course, the sense of scale with something like Voltron. That's always plays really well in VR. That playing around with the idea of scale.
And that's
really
been a lot of fun. I mean, so far, even at the show, even at Unite, it's been such a blast to see so many people put the headset on. And then you kind of look at them watching the blue lion come down and freaking out over how giant, massive of a scale this thing is, right? Which is, for me personally, because I've been working on this, we've been working on this for a good year and a half, it puts a smile on our faces. So it's been a lot of fun.
Cool. So what's the actual experience like?
So when we first, actually a little bit of history. So when we first pitched this over to DreamWorks, as I was mentioning before, Digital Domain has worked on several Hollywood properties. They feel like they know cinematics and VFX. That's their wheelhouse, right? So what they wanted to do, they wanted to focus more on a story experience, a cinematic experience, a narrative experience. So initially we came to DreamWorks and said, we got to make Voltron an episode or two of it in VR. Make an episode feel like it's right in your face, right? And for a good chunk of time, that's what we're doing. We're creating assets, we're doing everything we can to make sure that it felt very cinematic, right? But you know what? To give DreamWorks and NBC Universal some props, they kind of came back to us and said, "This is really cool. This is a lot of fun. But wouldn't it be just a little bit cooler if we add a little bit more interactivity to it, right?" And that's where at first as a developer, we're like, no, we're all about story. Yeah. But we're really glad we went that route. I mean, we feel like it's a perfect mix, a nice combination of a cinematic narrative along with moments where you as Lance, which is the Blue Paladin, you get a chance to fly the Blue Lion. You get a chance to solve puzzles in dangerous situations. It just helped the whole thing kind of come together.
Yeah, I actually got a chance to actually start the experience. I didn't get to finish, but I'll finish later.
Yeah, you got to get to the flying part.
I got to get to the flying, but yeah, the first few minutes, it was like I was just enjoying the story, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, shoot, I have to do something, and it was a little bit stressful, but like just enough to get me really into it, and then you had to pull me out and be like, oh, Sarah, we gotta go get.
Which I felt so sad about because when, someone came up and they were like, okay, we're ready for the interview. I'm like, she's so close to finishing the puzzle. And there was also this awesome cinematic that was going to come right after it. So, but it is
spoilers.
Yeah, little spoilers here and there. So. Yeah, and then real quick, as far as the experience, because I'll just briefly talk about the storyline. So for all the Voltron fans out there, it's basically a situation where the user themselves takes the role of Lance, who is the blue paladin. Really funny character, lots of humor involved, very charming. And what ends up happening is there's a force called the Galra Force, and, well, they're not called the Galra Force, they're the Galra. And they are an entity that is slowly but surely taking control of the entire universe. And the Voltron Force is there to basically stop them, right? So you, as Lance, it's your responsibility to kind of get in there, take control of the character, fly around in missions, battle against all these various Galra ships, fight against Zarkon, who is their emperor, and basically save the day.
So what is the balance of gameplay, interactivity, and story?
I'd say, I mean, if I were to give it a percentage, I'd probably give it about maybe 70% story, 30% interaction.
Nice,
It really, truly is meant for fans of the show, and also casual virtual reality fans to kind of get in there and watch an episode, and where we try to do these little tricks to kind of give it more of a VR push, a VR sense of feel and scale, like you were mentioning before. But with the moments in interactivity, we try to make it to where it's really engaging and fun and interesting, so that way it's memorable. So we were trying to kind of please various fans at once, and I think for the most part, so it was released about a week and a half ago,
Oh,
and
awesome.
so far the reviews have been very, very positive. So we're really happy with the result.
So for you, as a creator, has that kind of made you think differently about what you'll do next? Will you try and blend the two a bit more?
Absolutely. I mean, there's definitely some major lessons we learned along the way, because this is one of the first times that Digital Domain themselves have tried to do this, right? We try to do a merge of the cinematic and interactions. So there have been a few lessons learned. I mean, one of the main lessons we've learned is cinematics, while they can be beautiful and they can be great and everything, if we actually have them last a little too long, people can kind of start tuning out a little bit, right? So that's one of those moments where we realize, okay, there seems to be this sort of fine line between 2 to 3 minutes of cinematic is good, and then get them doing something, get them active, get them playing around with something, and then go right back into story. So that would probably be one of the biggest lessons, I believe.
So do you often do you kind of like user test and see whether people feel like they're pulled out of the interactivity back into the story?
No,
Is that how you balance it?
absolutely. We got a chance to test with various people around the office, various people at Digital Domain, DreamWorks themselves, all of them providing feedback. One of the lessons along the lines of what you just mentioned a second ago, one thing I think we absolutely need to do the next time around is make sure, get more people to focus test it, right? Even during, here at the show at Unite, there have been people who are just playing around with all the various knobs and kind of goofing up in different ways, and I never even expected, right? So it's one of those things where we absolutely need to try in the future to kind of get more people playing to see what they're doing, really.
Absolutely.
So speaking of getting people playing, where can everyone find the game and start playing it right now?
It's actually available on all the major platforms. So it's on Oculus and Vive and PlayStation on the PlayStation Store. Cool. So, and I believe we're working on Viveport right now as well. So it's available on all of the major platforms.
So there's no excuse to not find it.
There is no excuse not to find it. No, not at all. Okay. And for those of you who are kind of concerned about PlayStation 4, I mean, that is one of the things that we loved about Unity, by the way. It was the fact that portability-wise, it just, we were concerned, even DreamWorks was concerned, how is it going to look on the PlayStation 4? For the most part, PlayStation 4 or PlayStation VR is very powerful, but if you compare it to something like the Vive and the Oculus, there are some limitations there, right? But we were happy to see that, with Unity, portability to the PlayStation 4 was outstanding, to the point where, it's very, very comparable. Very comparable.
Well, that's great to hear. Thank you so much for your time.
No
and
problem,
for
guys.
everyone watching, definitely check out the game.
Check it out.
So next up, we have...
Next up, we have Rob Spierenburg from All Things Media to talk about Cadillac Virtual Showroom. And we'll be back after a short break.
The universe will kneel before me. It is my destiny.
Shiro and Keith are in danger. Their very lives may hang in the balance.
Opening wormhole now.
Pew, 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 pew. Whoa!
Wait, I was not paying attention. What's going on?
And we are back at Unite Austin Live, and we're talking to Rob Spierenburg. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
It's actually Spierenburg, but
Spierenburg.
it's a valiant
close.
effort, so I appreciate it.
No worries. So, all things media, what do you guys do? Tell us about it.
We're a multimedia development company, so we do a little bit of everything. We started back in Flash, back in like 2000.
Me too.
Moved on, yeah, pretty much just like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Moved on to HTML5, did a lot of game programming and things back in the day. A lot of 3D rendering and animation, things along those lines. But we really specialize is kind of the convergence of all of the different types of media development into projects like the Cadillac VR Showroom. We've done a number of other things for automotive or OEMs, automotive manufacturers over the years, but this is by far one of the more challenging things that we've done. And VR visualization of vehicles is something that is growing very quickly in the automotive space. And up until this point, it's really been used a lot as kind of a cool little showpiece or something that they'll do for one vehicle or something that'll be for a trade show or something like that. Cadillac is one of the first people to really come forward with seeing this as a holistic tool that's going to be used for the dealerships to augment their ability to sell cars.
It's actually driving sales.
Yes.
Wow.
And we can, over the course of time, their plan, it's in maybe 1 or 2 dealerships right now. It's actually in 1 dealership in the U.S. and a number of dealerships in Germany and South Korea. But over the course of the next year, they're looking to expand it to a much larger offering here in the U.S.
Wow.
And it's a pretty interesting tool when you think about it because it's kind of a unique need, for the automotive space. You've got all of this inventory, you've got all of these vehicles and this crazy variety of combinations that somebody can order these and customize them, but you only have so many vehicles on the lot.
Right.
And when somebody buys a vehicle, they really want to see their exact vehicle. And up until now, you can do that with, a BYO on a website, but it's 2D. It's really not nearly as immersive as you would need it to be to kind of justify buying a car.
Yeah, you don't get to sit in it, but in the VR experience, you actually get to sit in it.
Yeah.
And it just looks so beautiful in there. Like when I was browsing the cars yesterday, I was just like shocked at how like beautiful the shaders were. Like it was like, wow, like this was like a custom like Cadillac shiny car shader that you guys made. And
yeah, well, thank you. A lot of effort
Yeah.
and a lot of time and love went into making it look the way that it does.
Yeah.
And I think where we kind of differ from a lot of the other people here, aside from the fact that we're non-gaming use of Unity, the other place that we differ is most of the other programs and applications that you'll see here were created to create large environments or kind of spaces and put all of that detail and all of that rendering power and all of the polys that they have available and every little bit of muscle into this entire environment. Whereas our environment, the amount of geometry and vertices in our environment is really akin to like just a door handle on the car in terms of complexity. So what was really interesting was to take all of that rendering power and every little bit of muscle that Unity had and every little bit of capability that we could get out of the PC and put it all into creating one thing and making that thing look as good as possible. And I think we did that. I mean, the vehicle looks great from a distance when you're in the space, but then you can go all the way up to the tire and read the PSI off of the tire, or you can put your face right up to the steering wheel and like really look at like just the really fine details in something like the Cadillac logo or any aspect of the car, and really put your face right up to it, and the detail holds up. And that's really what you need for a tool like this.
So for something like this, are you using like a lot of shader work, or these things are super high poly?
It's a little of both, right? So when we get the models in from the client, we're actually given the source CAD for the vehicles.
Oh wow!
Which is massive.
Yeah,
I mean, this is what they use to actually build the components.
Yeah.
So the detail is way higher than we could ever support or could support right now, I guess.
Yeah.
In a VR application, and way more than we really need. So we go through a down polying process. I think we've gotten them down to I think it's like 10 million around polys. I'm actually looking at one of my technicians just to right. Don't want to say anything wrong. But we got them down pretty low from where they start out, but at the same time, we do a lot of other tricks and work with the texturing and the shadows and the light to make it look as good as it does.
And do you give people control of the actual environment they're seeing it in as well?
Well, yeah, you can change the time of day, which really that's the only level of control we've really given right now is the ability to change it from a daytime to kind of more of a dusk, which allows you to appreciate the vehicle in both lighting situations and also see the headlights on and off depending on the time of day. We are looking to expand on it further here in the future, and one of the things that we did kind of intentionally here was it doesn't have a lot of kind of, we don't break the reality barrier. Right. Really, we try and replicate reality as much as possible. Right. And I think part of the reason for that is A, we had a lot of vehicles to get in a very short period of time and a lot of detail to put in, so we had to focus on that. But B, a lot of the customers that are going to be using this, as opposed to gamers and the typical audience that we see here, they're not experienced in VR at all. They're not gamers. They're not, they're going to be blown away just by the fact that it's VR. And they're going to be blown away just by the ability to change the vehicle. And we really want to give them kind of an easy point of entry into an experience like this. Right. Let them kind of come in, experience it, enjoy it, and then kind of start to move that needle a little bit in the coming years, where we'll do things like being able to drive the vehicle potentially.
Yeah, I was going to ask if
being
that's
able
the
to
next step.
Blow the engine, bring the engine out of the hood and kind of blow it apart and see the pieces.
So really, like taking it to a point where you could never actually do it in real life.
Exactly.
And
but for now, we're replicating real life, and then in the future, we'll start to kind of bend those rules a little bit.
More of a value add.
But first, we really need to get it to a place where a lot of the audience that'll be viewing this can get comfortable with it. We don't want to blow, it's already going to be mind-blowing as it is.
It seems like you've done that with things like the UI as well. It looks really slick, like, how people
our UI team, that was a real challenge because there's so much complexity to configuring a vehicle, so many options that you can select. You got to be able to teleport. You got to be able to open the doors. You got to be able to select every feature on the sun, and some of those features aren't available, with other combinations. So there's a lot of complexity that goes into
like certain
making sure
wheels
the trim
aren't available
level,
with colors and
exactly.
stuff like that. Okay.
And there's a whole system of rules behind that. But one of the great things about the UI is we wanted to find a way to make it really simple and approachable and easy to use. But we also had to have an infrastructure there for showing a lot more detail and a lot more information, than is really available. So we have a gesture-based UI system where you hold it like this, it does one thing. You point it like this, it goes into a teleport. You turn it sideways, you get more information. Nice. And it's pretty seamless. Like when you get used to it, or once you use it, you pick it up really quick. But once you get used to it, it's really easy to use, and it allows you to kind of navigate the system really quickly, which is ultimately the goal.
Yeah. I was going to say it's got to be the biggest challenge is just making a consumer product for people that aren't used to working with VR or aren't gamers, aren't any of these
welcome
kind of
to my
things.
world.
Yeah,
that's a lot of what we
envy
do, man. I think it is the number one challenge that we have is exposing our typical customer base or user base is nowhere near the majority of the people in this room. Typically, we're bringing this to people that may have never used a VR system before in their lives.
Yeah.
And that's on the VR space, and we've been doing it all along. There's a lot of, we're always kind of pushing that edge and staying on the edge of technology, but we're always bringing it to an audience that's not there,
Right.
Isn't used to it. And it's exciting. I mean, there's a lot of really fun experiences in dealing with them. I think there's two that kind of come to mind. I mean, one, every single time a customer or a user kind of jumps into the interior of the vehicle, they're blown away. Like every single time there's like this shock because they're not used to being able, teleportation is weird for somebody that's never used VR.
Yeah.
But suddenly being inside the vehicle and seeing the steering wheel there and really appreciating the three-dimensional nature of it.
Yeah.
Because when you're outside the car, the vehicle's kind of far away. You can't really appreciate that it's true 3D until you jump in and the steering wheel's right there in your face.
You get that kind of peering around thing.
Yeah, and the other thing, we've had this happen a bunch of times. It's really a testament, I think, to what we achieved is that, for example, one time I was going through the experience, and I was in it for I was showing it to somebody, and I was in it for probably 5-10 minutes. And at one point, the Vive cord got caught around my leg. So I went to untangle the cord, and in doing so, went to lean against the vehicle, which wasn't there. And we have that happen with people with the doors. When they open the door, if they're standing in the path of it, they'll jump back to kind of get out of the way. Every time they go from the interior of the vehicle to the outside, they'll like lift their legs to get over the door well. It's a testament to how realistic it is.
So it's working.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Rob, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
For coming
Thanks
on.
so much for having us.
And if people want to check out your work, what's your website? Where can they go?
Allthingsmedia.com.
Awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Cool. Thank
you.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be back with Jay Wright from Vuforia to talk about all things augmented reality. Stay tuned.
We are back at Unite Live in Austin. And now we have Jay Wright joining us. He's the CEO of Vuforia. And Vuforia, we've been supporting Vuforia for a long time in Unity, but just recently with 2017.2, you are natively integrated with the engine. So how does that feel?
Feels awesome. It feels awesome. I mean, it's great for us, but I think it's great for developers too.
Yeah.
We made it easier. I mean, it's easier to get started, easier to set up, and just generally easier to use. And of course, some fun new content for samples.
Yeah.
So for people who are totally out of the loop on AR, Vuforia, all these things, what is Vuforia and what does it do?
Well, if you think about AR as trying to stick content to the world and actually attach content to physical things, we make it sticky. So
cool.
when you have your content, you add Vuforia, we'll show you which parts of the world can be sticky so that you can attach things to them. Whether that be attaching content to toys or industrial machinery or even just the ground in front of us.
And Vuforia, you guys are veterans of AR, right? I mean, you've been pioneering a lot of this tech for a while.
We've been in this for a little while. We actually started in 2010.
Right.
The group was founded and sort of grew up in Qualcomm and was acquired by PTC a couple years ago.
Okay.
So there's a tremendous amount of technology and over a long time period of investment to get what we've got today.
So I'm always interested in things like this where there's kind of like a delta in the tech between then and now. What kind of things did you first get going with AR, and then what is it like now?
I'll tell you, it's kind of funny because the first things that got started, and actually the first developer challenge that we ran was with Unity, and I think this was 2011.
Indeed.
And the first series of things that we saw were kind of like tabletop games. In fact, eerily similar to the first round of games and things that we've been seeing with ARKit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, in some sense, neat to see all that kind of stuff come full circle,
Yeah.
but with probably a broader awareness for the technology than existed before.
Yep.
So I know with Vuforia, personally, I have used the image targets and the object targets, but now you guys have model targets as well.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. So we provide multiple ways to attach content to objects, but one of the characteristics of objects that we require to make them sticky is they have to have a certain amount of visual detail, like intricate detail, and that's something that the computer vision technology takes advantage of. But there's a lot of things in the world that don't have that kind of intricate detail. For example, like the exterior of a car, the dashboard of a car, an appliance that you might find in your kitchen. These things are subtle. They're designed to be sleek, and they don't sort of look like that. So we had to come up with some new technology to attach content to those, and that's model targets. So they actually can recognize those objects and make them sticky and identify them by shape, which is pretty cool. And the shape is actually defined by a 3D model. So as long as you've got something like even a Unity asset for an object or a CAD model, you can make that object sticky.
Okay, so when you're detecting the actual parts of the real world that you can make sticky,
Sure.
how are you like? How does it work with like depth cameras and things
Right.
like that? Is it detecting purely based on light, or are you able to use or take advantage of depth cameras in phones like the iPhone 7, things like that?
Yeah, the amazing thing about model targets is 2 years ago, we thought this was technology that would require depth and depth sensing.
Okay.
And probably 18 months ago or so, we had a pretty big breakthrough, through a combination of conventional computer vision and deep learning, where we're able to achieve this on standard cameras. So model targets are going to work on a large number of iPhone and Android devices. In fact, almost the entire base of what we support with Vuforia today. Now, as we do get devices with depth sensing, that'll be able to provide more immersive capabilities and help it later. But the big breakthrough here with model targets is shape-based and existing devices.
So I suppose for you as well, wanting to deliver a consistent performance and a consistent experience across a range of devices,
Right.
it's better to not, I guess, rely on just a few kind of high-end devices.
Absolutely. And you know this at Unity too. It's all about giving developers one point of contact or one tool that helps them reach as many platforms as possible. We've really been focusing on that same proposition, but specifically with respect to AR, where it's getting pretty complicated with all the different AR enablers between different types of compute, sensors, and cameras. And of course, it gets even more complicated with the devices we put on our heads.
Okay, so for people who are interested in getting started in AR, there's a lot of news around AR at the moment. How do people dive into Vuforia? What's the onboarding process?
Well, the easy, super simple way now is just get Unity 2017.2.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you can
that's an easy way.
go straight to Unity, and you can get it right there. Developers that want to go deeper or check out other aspects of Vuforia can go to developer.vuforia.com.
Nice.
And check it out. So that's where they'll get more information on what we're doing with model targets or a new ground plane capability in what we just announced in Vuforia 7.
Cool. And you have like a host of tutorials and documentation people can dive into?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a developer forum there. There's also a forum, Vuforia forum at Unity now on the Unity site.
Yep,
so
of course.
you can go to both places.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I know this is going to drastically improve the workflow of Vuforia developers, not having to have it all in the engine.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned the ground plane detection for Vuforia 7. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you, one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we've had over the last, maybe a couple years was, hey, we want this thing called markerless. We want markerless. And when people say markerless, 9 times out of 10, what they mean is, I just want to put something on that table or on the floor. And the funny thing about this is it's actually technology we've had and been working on for years. And we came to the brink of releasing it a couple times, but didn't because we couldn't make it work cross-platform.
Right.
It depends on a certain level of sensor functionality, a certain level of camera functionality, a certain amount of compute, and then you have to calibrate each device to make that work. So we finally got to a point where we think we can pull it off.
Awesome.
And so now we have Vuforia ground plane. And it'll work on devices that have AR kit. So it'll actually use AR kit for that capability where it finds them. It'll use AR core where it finds AR core. But the thing we did even broader is we're supporting ground plane on even more devices. So I think, for example, AR kit touches about 34% of all Vuforia devices today. And with the ground plane capability that we'll have on iOS, we'll hit over 90%.
Nice.
So it's really going to bring that great core capability that we're seeing in ARKit and AR Core to a much broader set of devices, both iOS and Android.
So essentially, people that are building for ARKit and AR Core can use Vuforia now to take their development even further and add the object targets and the image targets as well.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
That's
so
going to be amazing.
They can put things on objects, and they can put things on surfaces very easily, and it'll work on ARKit, AR Core, and even more. Yeah, it's pretty exciting time. And having it integrated at Unity, or in Unity all at the same time, is just going to be an awesome thing for developers.
Cool. And can you tell us a bit about the Chalk app?
Yeah.
That's the one thing that we do need to talk about as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so Chalk is a new thing for us. You know, with Vuforia, we've all been about developer enablement and really empowering developers. But we have aspirations for Vuforia as a platform that go broader. And so Vuforia Chalk represents our first app that's part of the platform. And if you're one of those people like me that loves to buy gadgets for people and like give them to them, and then realizes the dark side of giving people gadgets where when they have a problem like installing them or using them or configuring them,
they're going to call you
call
first. Yeah.
And they call you in the conversations like this. I tried it, but the blinky light is not doing what it's supposed to. I'm like, what blinky light? Well, it's the one next to the button. I'm like, what button? You guys have, you know,
this is parental
you've lived
tech
the movie.
support.
Yeah. So Chalk is super cool. What Chalk does is it lets you look through somebody else's camera, so I can see what they see when they have a problem.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I can literally draw on the screen. And when I draw on the screen with chalk marks, my chalk marks don't just show up on their screen. They look like I drew on the world.
Nice.
Okay, cool.
So what it does is it allows telepresence for my finger, and I can kind of reach through and point something out to somebody else. Now, it starts out with us sort of helping others like this for this simple task, but we really think this is a disruptive form of communication that lets people have interactions with each other when they're far apart that otherwise you'd have to be next to each other for. And I think the amount of uses, both consumer, enterprise, and industrial, just staggering. So we're super excited about it.
Amazing.
Sounds like there's a lot of amazing features coming out. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, definitely if you're an AR developer.
It's time.
It's time. It's time.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you so much,
Thank
Jay.
you.
It's
Thank
been
you.
a pleasure to talk to you.
Great to talk with you. Thanks so much.
And if people want to find out about how to onboard with Vuforia, it was developer.vuforia.com, right?
That's correct.
Or download Unity 2017.2.
There's that.
It's that
Why
easy.
not both?
Why not both?
Awesome. Thanks, Jay.
Thanks,
All right.
Jay.
Take care.
Okay, we're going to jump into a short break right now. Next, we've got Phil Profitt and Andrew Dennison here to talk about Xbox One X. And we'll see you in a moment.
Years ago when we started on this journey, you told us you wanted power. This is absolutely the culmination of all of your feedback and something that we think will truly move Xbox forward. Console ever made.
And we are back at Unite Austin Live. Welcome back. Welcome to those of you watching us on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining. I'm Will Goldstone. I'm one of the product managers here at Unity. I'm here with Sarah.
Yeah, I'm Sarah Stumbo. I am an evangelist and also a producer on the Made with Unity team.
And Unite Austin Live is here to give you a taste of what it's like to be at one of these conferences. We talk to a number of different people in different kind of roles or ways of using Unity, and just to give you a flavor of what it's like to be here. And now we're joined by Andy and Phil here to talk about Xbox One
guys. How's it going?
X.
Yep.
So
Xbox.
what's the difference? There's an Xbox
With the new
One.
Xbox?
The Xbox One X is different from the Xbox One.
Absolutely. Yep.
What does the extra X add? That was a lot of X's.
Presumably it's 10 times better, right?
So basically, yeah, the Xbox One X was designed to enable true 4K for any developer out there and make it as easy as possible with the CPU and GPU and memory upgrades that we made to support true 4K and HDR in any title out there. So,
awesome.
Yeah, much bigger GPU primarily, so almost 4 times the power of the previous Xbox, which is what allows that 4K resolution. So yeah, it's a real beast.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we have something in front of us right now.
We do.
This is not the standard Xbox One X,
the dev
right?
kit?
This is the dev kit for the Xbox One X. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so the dev kit's really cool. It's got a few extra features that the retail kit doesn't have, just to make it easier for developers. And that includes working on Unity. So you have some extra memory. You have more than double the memory that you would have in the retail kit, which means for debug tools or for profiling, there's a lot of extra capability that this Xbox can give you. And it has a few of the features.
Yeah, so actually, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but on the front of the dev kit, it has an LCD panel that is completely programmable by the developer.
Oh,
So if you
awesome.
want to add any extra profiling tools or anything like that right to the front of the kit, so you don't have to connect any tools from a PC, you can actually just see it while the game's running right there. That's actually pretty handy. Before you used to have to go into settings menus and stuff like that to like look at the IP address or what OS is installed, and all that now is just right there in the front of the kit.
I was going to say, this is a very different proposition to any dev kit that I was used to. It used to just look like some kind of mainframe computer.
The size of a table or something like that.
Just
Yeah,
with wires just coming out of every perceivable angle. But yeah, this is gorgeous.
It's really nice. It has also has an SSD drive, which is specific to the dev kit, and that means that for big Unity projects, if you've got a game that's got very large assets, you can actually deploy to this kit far quicker than you could before because of the speed of the hard drive, and also the transfer system has changed as well. Which
yeah,
is
we have
really
a transfer device to, as quick as possible, just get the bits over to the console.
Yeah.
So yeah, the iteration time's a lot faster.
Yeah,
than it
because
used to be.
normally Unity developer is going to iterate normally on the PC version perhaps, which is it's all on the drive already. There's no deployment. You can just hit play and away you go. And the consoles have maybe always been a little slower to run the game up. So this really kind of unlocks that and means you could iterate almost entirely if you wanted to on the Xbox One X dev kit. And we found ourselves doing that at the office as well. It's made things much easier.
So this is the Xbox One X dev kit. I'm going to get used to saying that at some point. Great bit of kit. But what about the Idea Xbox program? How does someone actually end up working with something like this?
Okay.
Yeah, so if you go to xbox.com/ID, that's where you can apply. And we actually offer 2 free dev kits for every developer that gets accepted into the program. And part of that is, if you're interested in supporting the Xbox One X with a 4K title, that's something that we can provide as well. One Xbox One X kit and then one Xbox One original dev kit as well. So you can test on both of them.
Okay, so what's the process of applying to be part of Idea Xbox?
So it really is go to that website, give us some information about your studio, basically your company, and then some more information about what title you're developing. Screenshots, video, demo of the game is really the best case.
So it's best to kind of like, get your prototype down and
it really is.
Give you
it
an
really
idea.
is better to kind of get started developing the game before you apply in the program, just to make sure that you have enough information to show to us when we go through and review the application.
Cool. So obviously Unity supports Xbox One X. Andy, you work on that. You make that possible.
Yeah, so we've been supporting Xbox One X for about the last 2 months now. It's available on our Unity forums. Once you sign up as a Unity Xbox developer, you get
a specific different build.
At the moment, yes. At the moment,
Okay.
if you go to the Xbox One section of the Unity forum, there are specific downloads that support Xbox One X. But the cool thing is we've worked hard to make sure that we can support all current versions of Unity. So going all the way back to 5.5. So,
nice.
so 5.5, 5.6, 17.1, 17.2, and beyond will all have support for Xbox One X, because we really, with Microsoft, wanted to make sure we could unlock as many titles, Unity titles on Xbox One X that are enhanced for the kit.
And of course, a lot of people are already in development with those older versions.
Yeah, there's a lot of titles coming, actually.
Yeah. I mean, we have over, all the titles together, there's over 130 titles that are going to support Xbox One X. And yeah, in that 130, there are definitely Unity titles out there that, you definitely know. We had actually Tacoma running here on the at the booth, showing it in 4K on the Xbox One X dev kit. So
yeah.
So for a developer who has not been doing 4K, what's that process like of transitioning into developing for 4K? Is it a hard process?
Well, because this box is such a monster, it's actually really easy for a developer, and I'd encourage anyone that's currently running on Xbox, the original, to try the Xbox One X development kit, because it really is as simple as selecting 4K as a resolution option and hitting run. And because there's so much power on that GPU, we've found that the majority of titles we've worked with so far haven't had to do any additional optimization to get to run in native 4K.
Wow.
So and in some cases they've had room to spare. So what you can actually do with the Unity scripting API is you can detect you're running on an Xbox One X kit, and not only can will it run in 4K, but you could also run some additional effects if you want, maybe more increase the particles or perhaps different post-process. You could try and fill that spare GPU power that you've got on the box.
So you can ostensibly scale with platform defines and things like that to control, your game literally just ramping up.
Exactly right.
Yep.
To
and that's all via just a simple scripting API, just to detect which dev kit or which retail kit you're running on.
So for people who want to dive into this, who are getting excited, like what's the best process? Because we spoke to one of your colleagues yesterday about the creator program.
Yep.
What's the kind of key difference with this, and how should people get started?
So yeah, the main way to get started is, again, just through the ID at Xbox program. If you're already in the ID at Xbox program, just reach out to us, say that you're interested in developing on the Xbox One X, and yeah, we'll take a look at the title and how far along you are, and maybe we can get started that way.
And how does the support process go after that? Say you get approved, you're making your game. Do you guys help people out who are working with the specific hardware? Or?
Yeah, sure. So there's actually a couple of different avenues for support. The main one I would say is the Unity Xbox forum. My team run that forum, and we make sure we answer as many of the support questions as possible. We not only provide the builds and the plugins for Xbox on that forum, but yeah, that's also where all the support happens. But because underneath Unity we're just using the Xbox One XDK, you can also get support at the Xbox forums.
Yeah. So Microsoft also has a developer forum that people can show up and ask any questions they have about our APIs or our hardware, anything that has to do with anything that Microsoft develops.
Yeah,
super cool.
Yeah, which is cool. The other thing you can do, we talk about the scripting API for detecting what development kit, what retail kit you're running on. But the other choice the developer has is with the power of the kit, they could actually do something interesting other than 4K. So they could provide 4K as an option for the user. But we've actually set it up so that they can, if they wanted to, they could run perhaps a higher frame rate game instead. So,
nice.
So you could have a mode where you could run maybe 4K at 30 frames per second. But what you could also do is give the user the option to switch to maybe 1080p, so slightly lower resolution, but running at 60 frames per second. So the great thing about this kit is it provides users, the developers, the ability to give the user that option, depending on their preference, which is really cool as well.
Oh, so I think I missed that point. So just to hammer that home, you're giving the user the choice of whether to scale, not just the developer.
Yeah, the developer can give the user that option. So if you look at Tacoma that we've got running on the booth at Unite, there's actually an option where you can, in real time, just in the pause menu, you can switch between 4K 30 frames per second or 1080p 60 frames per second.
That's awesome.
So Fulbright are going to be shipping the game to Xbox One X?
Yeah, they are going to be shipping an Xbox One Enhanced version of their title later this year.
Amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so
Thank you.
much. We're really excited about the Xbox
Yeah.
One X.
Yeah, so
And we can keep this, right?
yeah, you can have it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that-
great.
yeah, no
yeah,
problem.
I've been needing one. So.
The magic of television. We're not keeping it. Cool. Thank you, guys. And we're going to go into a short break, and after we're going to be talking to Ian MacGillivray about Google Blocks. So stay tuned for that.
You want to know what you are? The mirror can tell you who you once were. She knows your histories, your crimes.
Virtual reality, you envision being immersed in beautiful, imaginative places. But without 3D objects to fill them, these places aren't nearly as special. Today, 3D modeling is done on two-dimensional screens, but our world is not two-dimensional, and designing for it shouldn't be either. That's why we built Blocks, a free app for the HTC Vive and Oculus Rift that lets you easily create beautiful 3D objects in no time. Using a set of simple tools, you can insert shapes, move them, paint them, or modify them. Once you've created your model, you can export it or publish it to the web for others to see. To learn more, visit vr.google.com/blocks.
Hello and welcome back to Unite Live at Austin. I am Sarah and this is Will. We're both from Unity, and we are joined right now by Ian MacGillivray from Google. You're actually the technical lead on Google Blocks. So
I am. Hi.
I am thrilled to talk to you because I love Google Blocks. You guys blew my mind with Tilt Brush, and then you did it again with Blocks. So for those of those who don't know, can you just give a brief overview of what the application does?
Sure, yeah. So Blocks is our attempt to kind of use virtual reality and kind of like the superpowers it gives you, far beyond just like traditional keyboard and mouse interface, to make 3D content creation. I don't even say 3D modeling because people get scared then if they don't have the training, but just 3D content creation accessible to anyone. You don't need to be an artist with, some fairly expensive software and, years and years of training. You can just get right in there, move your hands around, and create something that looks good and that you actually feel proud of.
And so the idea is you want to get everyone able to make 3D models without having to jump into a scary software. How did that work with like user testing and making sure that it was easy? I mean, I know personally when I tried Google Blocks for the first time, I was like going at it, building like trees and worlds. But for people that aren't, in VR every day, it might be a little challenging, right?
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time user testing, and we really transitioned over the course of the application between how far on the kind of professional features and the power we could offer, trying to match Blender and Maya with all of the tools they have available, versus what we ended up with, which was a very, very restrictive environment. And I use that in kind of a really good way. So we have, for example, just 24 colors. And people come and say to me, Ian, you weren't smart enough to put 48 in, 96 in, come on. But really giving these limitations and really restricting what users can do gives them a very safe space to work in, and means that by default, pretty much any action they take is going to result in something that looks good. And also I think the other appeal of Blocks is we have this very clear low poly style.
Yeah.
And so something that will render really well and perform really well in especially VR and AR apps, but anything where performance is important. But really for us, the target that we're aiming for is to make VR and AR successful in general. And Blocks is our attempt to do that on the content side.
I think that's my favorite part of Blocks is that, for someone like me who's not a particularly good artist, I can actually make something that I'm proud of. And, taking like a restricted palette, so to speak, to work with. Like I'm a big fan of another product called Magica Voxel. It's like a really simple design tool. And it's things like that and Blocks that just allow people to really come up with or focus on the idea instead of worrying about like, should I texture this thing, or should I learn 3D modeling in detail? But then they can just be expressive. So the thing I'm interested in asking about it is like, for people who don't know, what do you do with Blocks? Like you design something, you sketch it out. What can they do with it next?
Anything you want, but I'll tell you some of the more common use cases that we've seen. So we've seen a lot of developers who are interested in rapid prototyping. And you'll often find at a studio, we even find internally at Google, there's this bottleneck on design resources. You tend to have a few highly skilled designers or artists who can create, anything you can imagine and make it look absolutely beautiful. But if the entire development team is asking them every time they need a placeholder, every time they want to try out, an idea, you end up with this very slow environment almost, or you end up blocking everything out with just, the simple Unity cube. And I love the Unity cube, but it can't always communicate everything you need. And so letting developers get in there early for this rapid prototyping phase, that's been very important for us. We've seen a surprising amount of games and apps, especially in the AR space, made entirely with Blocks assets. because you don't always need that like, beautiful texture map, perfect curves for every application. Sometimes, you just want to get an idea out there and see how the world responds. The thing that we've seen that we didn't really expect, but we're very happy that happened, is we're seeing actually a lot of these professional artists who we thought they'll never use blocks. Why would they use blocks? They've spent 8 years learning these tools. They're experts. They've got 10 times the functionality.
And now they're using blocks.
But now they're using blocks. And what they're doing is they're using it to kind of rough out what they want and just get their ideas out into the world before they go and spend those, 8 hours, 80 hours, 800 hours getting that absolute perfect, little tweak, little bevel, that lighting perfect. Just getting their ideas out into the world and then just exporting from blocks in, whatever file formats they like, importing into the tools they're really comfortable with and making those touch-ups.
So people can export from blocks into Unity, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Right.
So we export OBJ, FBX, GLTF. We tried to really find the file formats that would work for everybody. We gave a talk at Unite earlier just about how you can bring all of these blocks models into Unity, light them nicely, map them nicely, mess with the materials a little bit.
Yeah, just to make them more customized, but everything still has that consistent Google Blocks feel, which is nice. And another thing I've seen is an amazing collection of models on. You guys have you have a shared place for people to go look at these models, right?
We do, yeah. I'm just so impressed with what the community's been making with Google Blocks. And as you mentioned, the consistent art style. So going back to that, only 24 colors, right? That really helps you to take a Google Blocks model made by one artist and one made by completely different artist with a different take on modeling other side of the world, and just throw those two things together in a project, and they look like they were made to be together. They look like you got them from the same asset pack on the Unity store, right? And so that's been really powerful for us. And our default publish flow, users can always choose what they want to do, is to let people save to the web and put their models out on a Creative Commons attribution license.
Okay.
Which essentially means you can grab any one of these models, throw them into any game or application, give some attribution to the author, because they put some time in, but go ahead and use that for free in your game, in your application. And so we're really trying to bolster just the amount of content you can get created even by someone else, even if you don't have these VR headsets to use Google Blocks, and throw those into your game, your application, and
So where exactly can people find these models?
vr.google.com/objects.
Okay.
Is the place.
Pretty easy, yeah. vr.google.com.
Yep.
/objects.
Yeah, that .google.com is a very fun thing to have.
So if people are trying to, I guess you could even use it for like pre-visualization, right? You can mock out an environment, or do like with the neon demo. Grab a whole bunch of stuff, do a low poly neon demo.
Yeah.
Put some post effects on it, make it.
Let me give my favorite story that I heard. It's just a couple of weeks ago now. Someone's parents' home was decimated in one of the hurricanes in Texas. Very sad story. And they reached out to us. They've been using Google Blocks for a little while, and they said, "I really want to get my parents just enthusiastic about this remodeling project because they're pretty down right now."
Yeah.
And so he sketched out their whole home, the new floor layout in Google Blocks.
Whoa.
And we even built a little extra feature for him, just like a ruler tool, just so you could really get the dimensions right. And then he put his parents in just I think it was just a Google Cardboard or something, right? And said take a look at what the new layout's going to be, and just to get them upbeat and thrilled about this.
That's
as opposed to
amazing.
really sad about losing what they had.
Yeah.
And so just all kinds of users, beyond the I want an asset for my game, that we're starting to see people do out in the community.
Do you have a favorite model that you've seen created with blocks, or
I'll tell you my absolute favorite things are the kits people are putting together.
Okay.
We had no plans for this whatsoever. The community just went out and did this on their own.
Awesome.
And so we had the lead artist for Despicable Me and the Minions movies. He's a big fan. And he came in and made these beautiful kits where you can just drag and drop, say a whole bunch of eyeballs and tails and fur, and make your own monster or make your own robot. And
make
these
your own
things.
monster. I love it.
And this is now even more accessible. So even if you're not quite feeling confident enough yet to place a cube and start messing with it, just dragging and dropping a bunch of parts together and making something that looks good is fun.
Yeah. So we're really seeing all sorts of content being created with blocks, from environments to kits to characters, right?
Yeah. Avatars for games, backdrops for games. Yeah.
So for people who want to start using blocks right now, where can they get it?
So we're on the Steam store and the Oculus store. We're looking to get on a few more stores right now as well. It's available for free, and really we just want people to get out there, make that content. Please post about it, or tell us. We want to see everything you're making.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you have a Vive or an Oculus, you have no excuse. It's free. You need to download it, right?
It's free. Go and get it.
Alright.
And even if you don't have the Vive or Oculus, vr.google.com/objects, at least go and take advantage of what everyone else is making.
All right. Thank you so much, Ian. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you both so much.
Awesome. Okay, so we are going to be back in a moment with Mike Coeck, who's here to talk about Anti-graviator, or maybe Anti-graviator. I'm not sure.
Anti-graviator.
Yeah?
We want no gravity. Anti-gravity.
Anti-graviator?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Okay, I'm too English for this. Okay, so we'll be back after a short break. We'll see you then. And we are back at Unite Austin Live. Welcome to those of you watching us on YouTube and Facebook. Hi, Mum. How you doing? She's not. She's asleep. Anyway, so we're talking to Mike Coeck right now, who's here from Cybernetic Walrus.
Yes. Hello.
I've got to ask about that first, Mike.
All right. All right.
What's going on with the name? Tell us about it.
Well, a lot of people have asked us, how do you get to the name like that for a company? And it's actually a funny story. You know, we were just playing around with a random name generator.
Oh.
And we ended up with something cybernetic and then something walrus, and then we thought, like, wait, if we put those two together, that must definitely be the most useless creature on Earth, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You don't want to make a cybernetic walrus. So.
All right. So the game, Antigraviator. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
You are right, yes.
Antigraviator.
It's not Anti-graviator.
Yes.
We don't have anything against
There's no gravy involved.
No gravy.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
So what kind of game is it for those who are unfamiliar?
So it's a fast futuristic racing game. It's a bit inspired by classics like Wipeout and F-Zero. So we're looking at those games to reinvigorate actually the genre. And that's what we're trying to do with Anti-graviator. But we've added a couple of twists to the game. Like we added a feature where you can trigger traps on your opponent. So there's like a host of traps around the track, and you can activate those, like boulders falling on the track, which you have to avoid, rockets that can be shot, and all of these things. We also have a lot of tracks that actually split in certain points. So we want to give the players a decision. Do I go left? Do I go right? It's an easy decision, but still it gets the players thinking, and that's what we want to achieve as well.
Amazing. So I think one of the things that strikes me about this game is just how freaking good it looks. Like it is a beautiful game, and I think it's taken a lot of people by surprise that it's a Unity title. You know, it's also a student title. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So to tell you a little bit more about that, so Antigraviator, it started as a student project. We're 4 people from Belgium, from the University of Ho West, and we all follow the course called Digital Arts and Entertainment. And it has like a specialization either in development or in art. So we're 2 developers, we're 2 artists.
Perfect.
We started, it's a perfect match. So we started like a year ago. And the thing about the school is that they actually use Unity to teach the developers how to, code and use the engine.
What a smart school.
Very smart, but they're not so smart on the art side, because they use like the other well-known engine, which name we're not gonna. Yeah. Anyway, so we had a big discussion, when we were when we're actually going to take the game in production, like, which engine are we going to use? And you know, it's like we wanted the developers. I'm one of the developers. We wanted to use Unity, of course, and they wanted to use the other engine. So we got into a discussion, and they said, yeah, but we can't make it look pretty in Unity. And I said, no, I don't believe that. Take a look at the Adam demo, and that's been a game changer for us.
Yeah.
They because you know you can download it, you can look at it, you can see how they did things. So they started taking that apart. And by doing that, you know, they actually found how to make things really, really look good using Unity. So
are you using Unity 2017.1, correct?
Yes, we are using Unity.
So were you able to utilize a lot of those new artist tools and workflows?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. One of the biggest things that we're using is a post-processing stack. So we actually started in Unity 5.6 with the first version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed the game enormously, the looks of it.
Yeah.
You can make things look much more vibrant and everything. So that's what they've been doing. And the thing is, we use version 1 of the tool still, which doesn't have post-processing volumes, for instance, so where you can transition between different post-processing settings. So we built that for ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah, we've put that for free on the asset store. So
cool.
if there's people that are in our situation using version 1 and want to use it, it's free. They can get it. It's no problem.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is that under your own publisher? So if they search
yeah,
for Cybernetic,
yeah, if they search for, yep, yeah, correct.
Great, thank
yeah,
you.
so, and then there's of course Timeline and Cinemachine, something we also use because we were at the point where we wanted to do an intro scene, an intro cutscene before each race.
Of course.
And yeah, we were like, oh, we have to program this, and we have to program the camera movement and everything.
Not anymore, huh?
No, not anymore. I didn't have to do anything on it. So, you know, the less I have to do, the better for me.
And I mean, obviously that's freeing you up to work on the core mechanic and the ship and how that all works, right?
Yeah, yeah. We're still, well, for the core, for the ship itself and that camera, we still use a custom scripted camera. But we've been doing some tests and looking into how we can also use Cinemachine for that. So we're probably gonna switch soon.
Awesome.
So yeah.
So in terms of the effects, I mean, I'm looking at the screen right now. We have a shot of the game, and it doesn't really do it justice to see it still, because when you watch the game, you have like some amazing effects. I think some of the things you're using are like the motion blur, obviously.
Yeah.
What's some of the other things that they've really taken advantage of?
Well, you can see the bloom if you look at the screenshot. You can definitely see the bloom, the stripes that light up. It's a bit of a like the Tron movie where you get like the neon light feel and everything. So that's something we definitely use. By the way, this is really a screenshot in game, so it's not something we enhanced. This is really from the game
also
itself.
the anti-aliasing on it looks fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, it just looks super
so that's
sick.
also something we use. Again, I'm one of the developers, so I see them like fiddling around with all these settings, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're doing a good job, guys, but I have no clue what you're doing. So,
so how long have you been working on it so far?
Well, we've been working on it since February full time. So it's as I said, it started as a student project, but
and it's just the 4 of you.
Yeah, it's only 4 of us. We actually just hired somebody on Monday. So I haven't been able to talk to him yet since he started because I was here. So, but yeah, and actually since February we're working full time as a studio. So
awesome.
we got to combine like starting our studio and doing our internship at the same time.
Nice.
So that was a good deal for us. So yeah,
super cool.
And when do you think the game will be released?
We're aiming for Q1 of next year. We actually also just signed with a publisher, so
oh, congrats!
Thank you. We're definitely sure that it's going to be out there soon.
Yeah. And I know I saw one of the spaceships from your game in our keynote the other night.
Yes.
But it was customized with the Unity logo. Can people get their hands on that?
Well, we have for the people that are joining the convention.
Okay.
We have like a special voucher with a unique code. Which will unlock this Unity skin in our game. So
yeah, that looked
they
really
can definitely,
cool.
if they pass by the booth, we're here at the Made with Unity booth, they can still get one of those if they want.
And also, I noticed that you guys were very kind enough to donate some of your assets to our training day this year as well. So if anyone came along to that, and also if you watch it after the fact on YouTube, you'll see a lot of the Anti-graviator worlds and ships and things. It was super cool.
Yeah, it was nice to be able to provide these assets for for the training day. It was very cool to see people copying our game. Well,
Copying it, yeah. But having fun while copying your game.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
So you've
and
got
getting-
200 new competitors now.
apparently, I haven't checked like if there's like new versions up yet, but
Yeah, they just change a bit of the colors and call it their own game. I don't think
no,
so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
So you're looking to take it to PC? Are we going to see this on Xbox One? We just spoke to the Xbox One X guys.
Yeah, I
after all.
saw. I was standing there watching the One X.
Thinking,
yeah,
4K,
Yeah, I
eh?
was like, yeah, I want one of those.
Yeah.
Because we actually have the game running on 4K.
Okay.
So we're developing it especially for 4K on the PC as well. So we can definitely move to that. And the reason we also chose Xbox is because there's like a lot of the other consoles, like the Switch and the PlayStation. They already have like a flagship game in this genre, but the
Oh, I see,
Xbox
right.
does not have it yet. So, you know, we
Very smart.
yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to be the name on the Xbox that
Cool.
in the anti-gravity racing scene. So
Nice.
definitely.
And you did have a session here at Unite yesterday, right?
Yeah, correct.
And
yeah.
what was the session about?
Well, basically, I try to, tell my story because I myself, I'm 38 years old, and I told you it's a university game. So I actually went back to, I'm 41. Sorry, I went back at the age of 38 back to school to change my life around. I had a good job, but I didn't like doing it, and I was a bit stuck with my life. And I've always wanted to do something with games. So I decided, let's just go back to school. Let's get a degree. And it's been amazing so far. I mean, and I tell this to everybody, it's easy to get stuck in your habitats, in what you do,
Yeah.
But usually the good stuff happens when you get out of your concept zone and you move to that place where the magic happens, right?
Yeah,
So
I feel the
that's
same way.
that's what I try to tell everybody. And the magic is really happening for me at the moment.
That's
So
so
I
inspiring.
can't
Thank
be
you.
happier than doing this. I don't even know if I will make money like next year, but I don't care. I'm just having a blast.
Well, I certainly hope so. The game looks awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy it.
Oh,
I
thank
mean,
you.
I'm a huge Wipeout nerd, so that's in my wheelhouse. Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Glad
And
for it.
good luck with the game.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Okay, so we're going to take another short break, and we'll be back with Mark Poppenmeyer, who's here to talk about Unity Connect and everything it can do for you. We'll be right back. Don't switch off. A great sign-off. Bye.
Hi, I'm Joshua Kinney, the Game Development Curriculum Manager for Pluralsight and the creative director behind our game, Swords and Shovels. Swords and Shovels is a fast-paced dungeon crawler game with emphasis around strategy. It's a mix of hack and slash and tower defense. Game development has become more accessible now than it ever has been. Anyone in the world can download and start learning about a game engine of their choice and start making games today. Now, through these courses, you will learn the core fundamentals of creating games, whether that be game art, game design, or game programming. I hope to see you there. Keep learning, keep growing, and most of all, have fun doing it.
Watcher, take one.
Phones on silent, please.
Why I create is a kind of a great question.
Why do I create?
I create because I
just really love games, and it's a lot of fun to make them.
I have so many ideas. I have so many things I want to explore.
I can't imagine doing anything else. It's what's on my mind when I wake up in the morning. It's on my mind when I'm falling asleep.
It's an odd question. From my perspective, I don't know why other people don't create.
Hello and welcome back to Unite Austin Live. I am Sarah.
I'm Will.
And we are sitting here with Mark Poppelmeyer now. He is the product manager for Unity Connect, and we're really excited about Unity Connect. It's a big deal right now. A lot of people are creating profiles, posting jobs. For those of us who aren't so familiar, can you give them a quick rundown on what the product is? And
Sure. So Unity Connect is a Unity community hub for artists, programmers, designers to all show up, network. There's free portfolio tools, so if people want to kind of showcase their work, they can do that. They can create articles, they can showcase their games, they can even just do showcases if it's more of a research project or a VR project. People are really using the site right now to network and find jobs. So we have two types of classifications of jobs. If it's a task, something more freelancy, you can definitely find that there. Or if you're looking for more full-time work, you can also find it, apply, and hopefully get hired.
Cool. So when did we launch Unity Connect? How long has it been out there?
So we started building it a little over a year ago, but we launched it at the last LA Unite. So it's only 11 months old. And so far it's been over, I think there's 116,000 of you creators on the site already. There's over 2,300 companies. And so far there's been over 4,000 jobs posted. So yeah, people are really starting to use it in mass.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So with Connect specifically, you know, where do you see it going next? You mean right now it's kind of like a hub for people to find work and to, pun intended, connect.
Yeah.
But what do you want to do next with it?
So we really want to create this singular hub so that everyone can network and be successful. So the main thing we want people to do right now is to author their content and find work and network. And some things that we want to be doing in the future with it are we want to help people find support and help. So we're going to be investigating some ways that we can make that a little bit easier.
Oh, cool.
So for instance, you know, the current way you can do that right now is you can go to the forums, you can go to Answers. Those are both amazing tools. You can also go to meetups. You can go find a friend. So there's all these independent ways, and we want to try to like centralize this and make it a little bit easier for you to find the help you need like immediately.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So like a whole community, you don't have to be an expert to have a Unity Connect profile, right?
Totally. There's all levels. There's beginners. There's some great content for beginners. So there's tutorials from people like Pete Zakluska from the Asset Store. So if you want to learn how to make some different materials, he walks you through how to do that. Or if you're just looking for some game design principles, there are great postmortems on there as well. So it spans the range.
We recently moved a lot of the Made with Unity content over to Connect, right? So that, you know, all of the showcase stuff is in one place. People can get inspired.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So if you guys don't know what Made with Unity is, it's this amazing program that Unity's had for a couple of years now to really showcase the stuff that is being made from the community that really exemplifies what you can do with the tool, right? And so recently they have redeveloped their site. You can find it at unity.com/madewith. And it's an amazing site that showcases a couple of the top projects every quarter or every couple of months. So you'll find great demos, great games. So what we did was we worked with that team to make sure that there was still a place for the community to author the stories and games that they've been doing for so long on that website. So that's all been migrated over to Connect right now. So
so all the stories are still there?
All the stories are still there, and the tools are better. So we had the chance of working with the team to make sure that we didn't regress on any issues that they had, and we could enhance them. So you can actually add contributors. So if you worked on a team with a couple other members, you can actually show that off. And there's a little bit better linking tools and some different like word wrapping and tools to make your article or game really shine. So
are you aiming to kind of showcase like teams that worked on a game so that you can sort of see individual members and their work and what they contributed?
Definitely. So we have a little bit of work to go to get to that point. But right now, if you're a company, you can create your company profile and post your game or article underneath that company. But soon we'll be working on groups and teams so that you can kind of turn these on and close them down. Or if you're not an official company, expose your projects. If it's not an official game or you're just a couple people working together on a school project or something like that, you can kind of form a team and publish your article or game under that.
So you're really kind of championing the kind of work that everybody here is doing. What's your advice for someone who's got together a prototype, they want to start building an audience? What can Connect do for them?
So I think the simplest thing people should start to practice at the earliest age possible is just to showcase your work.
Yeah.
I think that's a big hurdle for all of us to get over, and I know I was incredibly shy with my own personal work when I was younger, but just starting to show it to other people and accepting feedback, I think, is like one of the most critical steps in just growing and learning and becoming, more mature. And I think you should do that with your project. So get it out there. Start talking about what you're working on, and start engaging the community and having a conversation about how might they solve some of the problems that you currently have, or you might even be able to contribute something that they haven't thought about as well. So my advice would be to create an article or a game, and just kind of start talking about what you're working on and engage the audience.
So how do you see Connect working in terms of like the actual consumer audience as well?
So we're not necessarily entirely focused on the consumer audience right now. There's some great tools. If you are just looking to find games made with Unity, you can do that, and you can link to the other stores. So if your game's on itch or if your game's on Steam, you can do all that.
Okay.
But we're really trying to focus more on the developer creator community, so that you can promote what you're working on. You can engage that group. There's some other amazing tools out there right now if you want to gain an audience to improve maybe your downloads. But what we're really mostly focused on is improving the quality of your work and improving your networking capabilities.
So for networking, there are live discussion channels, correct?
Yep.
And how do those work?
So this is something that we launched back at at Amsterdam a couple of months ago. These are great little channels for you to jump into. We have a live messaging platform, so think chat rooms, but all oriented to something creator-based. So if you have a work in progress, or if you're hiring, or if you're an artist or designer or programmer, we have these specific channels for you to jump in, meet other individuals, talk about what you're working on, and ultimately connect, which will allow you to have one-on-one messaging or group messaging with each other. So
that's really great, because I think one of the things that people struggle with when they first start out using Unity or doing any kind of like hobby like this is that idea of like where they are with their peers, like and so anything where you can connect and get an appreciation of where your skills sit with everybody else around you is awesome.
Yeah, and also to feel like you're not alone in the process. Like first time downloading Unity can be a little overwhelming, but then you go to Unity Connect and you find other people who are in the same place as you, people who are more advanced. Like especially I feel like with Unity developers, they're always willing to help.
Exactly.
That's what I found at least, which is awesome.
Yeah, you're definitely not alone. We all start off alone, obviously, but then and you might be remotely separated, and you might not have the opportunity of coming to Austin and meeting all the great developers and artists here. But on a place like Connect and in the Unity community, you have this opportunity to do this digitally, and to your point, exactly. There's experts in these channels willing to help people out. It doesn't matter what level you are. I've seen people ask some of the most basic questions, and then everyone is so friendly. They just jump right in, they connect with you, and they just try to help you out on the spot. So it's been really fun watching this whole evolution of people helping each other out and just jumping over these hurdles that they had. And it's a great tool.
Have you heard of any people like finding really great jobs using Unity Connect?
Definitely. I know most of the audience online might not be able to get one of these, but we might put it up online. We have this awesome career guide that we distribute here, and there's some really fun success stories. So Universe Sandbox actually recently hired somebody off of Connect, and they were like super ecstatic about finding this individual because they were taking their time to do it.
Yeah, to find the right person.
Yeah. One fun stat is there's been over 1,200 unique people who have posted jobs and tasks, and 40% of them have actually hired somebody on Connect within the first month. So if you're looking to hire or be hired, you should definitely check it out. There's amazing job posts up there from all around the world. So if you're interested, come check out the website. It's at connect.unity.com. You can browse articles, games, jobs, companies. It's a lot of fun content.
Sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Mark.
All right.
Okay, so we'll be back with David Calkins in a minute, who's here to talk about Super Lucky Tail. Super Lucky's?
Super Lucky's Tail.
Super Lucky's Tail.
Yes.
Super Lucky, yes, that. We'll see you then after this break. And we are back live at Unite Austin. Thank you for joining us on Facebook and YouTube, and thank you for all of the comments that are probably all positive, right?
I don't know. I haven't read them.
We're just
so.
going to assume they're great. So we're here with David Calkins. You're here to talk about Super Lucky's Tale. So tell us about it.
So Super Lucky's Tale is a character action platformer that is coming soon for the Xbox family of devices, including the Xbox One X that launches soon.
Awesome.
That also includes the Windows 10 store, so you can get it on your PC.
Nice.
Okay.
And it harkens back to the classic 90s platformers, mascot-led platformers. There's a lot of nostalgia, but kind of told in a modern way. And we're hoping that it'll delight folks who grew up playing those games like we did, as well as a new generation of gamers.
Yeah, I certainly felt that way. As you know, I got a chance to play yesterday, and it just my childhood came rushing back to me, and I didn't want to leave.
and you never forget. You were good at it, so it's like
I was
riding
good?
a bicycle.
The reflexes.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I died within like 5 minutes, but the second round I did a little better.
I've seen a lot of people play it over the summer, and you were above average.
Okay, that's good. So you refer to the gameplay style as a playground platformer, correct?
Yeah, what we mean by that is some platforming games have kind of a uniform level design throughout the entire thing, and we wanted to make something that had a lot of variety. So essentially, each level feels like a whole new experience, almost like it's a collection of rides at a theme park.
Nice.
So, but yeah, that's kind of what we were going for with that style.
I mean, and that too is kind of harkening back to a certain era of platformers as well, like even like 2D platformers, where you would have, like stages or levels, however we put them. They were always very different. Like, so every game had an ice level. Every game had like a high-tech level. It's kind of like kind of the Sonic approach to some extent.
Sure, and I think that's a good example. In Sonic, I love what they did with each level was this fully immersed world that fully realized and just had so much life in it. And I think that is certainly true of Super Lucky's Tale, but I think we went further than that, and to the point where some levels are just like straight up side-scrolling levels. Some levels are sprawling arenas. Some levels are sort of intimate guided paths. We also have mini games. There's on-rails precision challenges, side quests, and a bunch of characters and a story threaded throughout. So there's just all sorts of stuff to do in
So
the game.
this is a lot bigger than the first game, right?
It is, yes. So yeah, for those who don't know, this is a sequel to the first Lucky's Tale, which we made for the Oculus Rift that came out last year. And you know, if you are familiar with that game, you'll be happy to know that this is a much bigger game. It's a full-blown sequel. There's more depth, more levels, more characters, more story. It has more personality and style. Just overall bigger in every way.
So for people who don't have the Oculus, they don't need to play the first game to follow along in Super Lucky's Tale, do they?
No. In fact, the first game, the story wasn't a big part of it. It was mostly about just platforming gameplay.
Yeah.
Whereas this time, we have a much bigger story, and so you will not be lost if you've never played the first one, which is kind of why we didn't call it Lucky's Tale 2, because we wanted everyone to feel welcome.
Yeah. And are you guys thinking about maybe taking Super Lucky's Tale for VR in the future?
We would love to make a VR version. That's not our focus right now. We're really focused on our partnership with Microsoft is fantastic in that they're going to allow us to share Lucky with millions of players across the world, versus the smaller group that got to play the first game. So we're really focusing on making it just a really compelling flat screen experience that runs at 4K, 60 hertz, looks great, plays great, has really tight controls, and at some point down the road, fingers crossed, we'd love to make a VR version.
So let's pivot to Unity a little bit. What were the things that you really took advantage of this time around? Which version did you make this in?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Which version did you make this in?
We made it in 5.6.
Okay.
Yeah, we just missed the switch to 2017, but we are using that in one of our other projects called Starchild. But there was no choice for us when it came to what engine we would use to make Super Lucky's Tale. It's what we used to make the first game, and it's actually the only engine we use at Playful, and we just love how fast it allows us to come up with ideas, experiment with new things, quickly iterate on them, and really that allowed us to make the playground platforming style that we talked about of just having so much varieties, because we had time to experiment with that stuff rapidly, iterate on it and polish it, and it was great. So there's a couple of different things. I mean, there's so many ways that Unity is great. I could talk about a few of them if you guys are interested.
You guys were using the progressive light mapper, right?
That is a big one, yes. In fact, our animator Juan Martinez spoke at Unite LA last year at the keynote.
Oh, of course, yes.
He was one of the folks who really struggled with the lighting in the first game, and was not shy about sharing that feedback with Unity, and through him and I'm sure other folks, this feature, Progressive Light Mapper, came to be, and it is just such a fantastic upgrade. You can actually you can bake a level, the lighting of a level, and iterate it on it while it's baking, versus just having to push a button and wait for hours for it to be done. You can also just if you don't like the way a certain level looks, you can just throw it all out, start from scratch. It in a fraction of the time, and that allowed us to really get each level just perfectly lit and just beautiful and crisp. And I think we baked the entire game in a week, which is amazing.
The lighting of the entire game was done in a week?
It was. I think for the first game, it was easily 4 times as long. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, and we could keep iterating on the lighting while it was doing that process, so that's great. I think the other thing that we took advantage of and really helped us was being able to work on sub-scenes, so that each discipline can work on a level in parallel. So for instance, our sound guys have kind of their sound sub-scene. So that they can work on all of the ambient sounds in each level. they're not locking out our animators or
You're
other
all
artists.
checking in separately.
Right, yeah,
Nice.
so they're checking into their own sub-scenes. And then when it came time to merge all of those versions together, it was a fairly seamless process.
Yeah.
So that was a great, fantastic feature. And then, honestly, I think the thing we love most about Unity, maybe in the top 5, is just how customizable it is and how rich of an ecosystem there is for additional tools and add-ons from the community that allow you to work in better and new ways. And the great thing about that stuff is you don't have to be a software engineer to use them. Our artists, our designers are constantly finding new tools out there that someone else has made, and they can add them in and start working with them right away without constantly bugging the engineers. And if a tool isn't available, it's not that hard to build your own tool within Unity. Unity gives you that customization, and we've done that on a number of occasions for this game.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I personally love the game. I can't wait to get it. How can I get it? When can I get it?
It comes out very soon.
Okay.
It comes out November 7th.
All right.
We just pressed the discs on Monday, so but you can also get it digitally.
Okay.
In stores or digital,
And
wherever.
it's for all of the Xbox.
It is for the Xbox family, so that
Xbox
includes
family.
Xbox One,
Okay.
Xbox One S, Xbox One X, the new one that's
Yeah.
launching in November 7th, the same day as our game, and also the Windows 10 store. And it's just $29.99, so it's reasonably priced. And
Totally worth it.
yeah, and it's something you can play with the whole family, and
Yeah.
it'll put a smile on your face.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game. I love it.
Well, thank you.
you so much, David. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We're going to take a short break here, and up next we have Mark Choi and Mark Tannenbaum, the two Marks from Unity, to talk to us a bit about Unity Analytics. So stay tuned.
Sean, take one. Playtest is truth.
Unveiling and announcing games is one part very, very exciting and one part absolutely terrifying.
Hurts, man. It hurts.
Yeah, we're at a good state now. There's not much left. And you keep saying that for a year.
The last 10% is really another 90%.
Every time I got really close to finishing a game, I'd be like, oh man, there was another game come out, and I was like, oh, why didn't we work on something like that instead?
And we are back here at Unite Austin. Thank you for joining us on Facebook and YouTube. We're here with the two Marks, the two main Marks in Unity. Mark Choi, Mark Tannenbaum from Unity Analytics. Welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
We talk about analytics a lot. What does it actually mean, and how would you pitch it to people who find it a scary term and they don't know how to approach it?
So analytics is just the dashboard for your game in the world. You pour so much energy, your blood, your sweat, your tears, your time, your money into building a game. You release it to the world. You probably want to know how it's doing.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's usually, when I talk to people, that's usually how I introduce analytics. It is about numbers, and it is about data, but principally it's about answers, and importantly, being able to do something about those answers. So my game is not performing well with a certain type of people. I'm not making money the way I want to. I'm not retaining the users the way I want to. What do I do about that? How do I fix that? Because you want all that work you put in to mean something.
So for developers who want to use analytics, they don't have to worry so much about all of the math and the data. You guys take care of that for them, correct?
Yeah. So we're doing a lot of aggregation,
Okay.
a lot of segmentation, importantly, so you can see not just how everyone is doing, but how
Yeah.
certain players are doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're trying to fundamentally we're trying to make this as easy as possible for everyone, so that they can get down to the business of making games and not spending all their time thinking about the data.
Yeah, I think traditionally, to do analytics, you have to set up your own servers, do all the data collection, the data aggregation. Our mission as Unity Analytics is to really do all the heavy lifting for developers so that they don't have to do it themselves. And really not only doing that, but just take it a step further and produce insights out of the data so that they don't have to go digging through the data themselves to find the answers that they need, right?
You guys talk about the phrase that we use is like insights into action, right?
Sure.
Turning, like you said, the answers into what can I actually change to make the game or the project better. And we saw just on the screen at the moment, we have, this is Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition, right?
Yeah.
And what did they use analytics for? How did it help them?
Mark, you want to field
Sure.
that?
Yeah, I mean, so Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition, they were, it's a great game by Square Enix that's coming out pretty soon. It's a mobile title for both Android, iOS, and Windows Phone as well. But we're really super excited because they gave us a sneak peek into their game and allowed us to integrate some of the really great analytics tools that are out there, one of which is called remote settings.
Okay.
So what that allows developers to do is to push dynamically in real time, different configurations or changes to the game, so that you can modify the game's behavior without having to create a new build and update it to the app stores and wait for users to download it.
So you can make changes without having to rebuild an update.
Exactly.
And it's just all stored in
Think
the
about how
cloud.
much time that saves, right?
Yeah.
You not have to go through the App Store again. That takes some time.
Oh, yeah.
So just, I have a change, I want to make this change it in my dashboard, boom, live.
So what kind of changes would people use this for?
There's a lot of great use cases. You can do things like, let's say, the simplest example is do different promotions or themes around different events or holidays, for example. You can do a special scene for Christmas and then
holiday
switch it up
packages.
Exactly,
Okay.
that's right.
And actually, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, we have, as part of this Final Fantasy thing, we did a demo where we changed out these sort of scorpion creatures for the cactuar, which is, this kind of cool Final Fantasy creature.
Yeah.
And we thought, but not just do a change on the fly, but just do it for some users, right? So
Okay.
we have this great functionality that Mark's team has just put together.
That's right.
Right, for
segmented remotes. Yeah, exactly. So we had a really robust segmentation engine that already existed as part of the analytics tool. So in Data Explorer today, or as you're understanding and looking into your data, you can segment different groups of users around demographic behavior, or player behavior, or device characteristics. We've coupled that with remote settings, so now you can actually target different configurations based on different groups or segments of players.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you can imagine, I want to do something special for my iOS users because iPhone 10 just came out and we want to celebrate that.
Right.
Or maybe I want to do something special, a holiday that is only important in this country but not in that country.
Yeah.
There's so many different things. You could identify your best players, so your most loyal
Give
players.
them rewards.
And give them
Or
rewards.
make it more difficult to balance.
Ask them maybe to do if they would review your game, get better reviews in the store. So there's lots of things you can do with the segmentation on remote settings, which is really opens up a lot of possibilities.
And because the remote settings are just they're just variables effectively that you're remotely tweaking, you could do pretty much anything with it, right?
That's right. I mean, we allow developers to pass in different variable types like strings, booleans, integers and floats, and yeah, it's really flexible in the way that you can control different things inside the game.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so other than remote settings, there's also standard events. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So my team's been working on this. It's basically, so we started looking at our data. We get a lot of data across this big wide range of a lot of games. We have a custom event system, which lets you send anything you want.
Yeah.
We realized when we looked at the data that most people are actually sending the same events over and over again. Things like level completion, things like onboarding tutorial flows, things like opening a store or buying an object or watching an ad. They come up over and over and over again. And we thought, why should everyone have to reinvent this every time? Why do they have to, like, that's a cognitive load on the developer to have to figure out what questions they want to have answered. So why don't we do that bit for them, make it really easy, and then they can just have that there for them. And when they need the custom things, custom stuff is still there. So we made that into an asset that's in the asset store. You can download it in 2017.3. I can tell you, we will have it in Unity, so you will no longer need an asset to do it. So that's very exciting for us.
Okay.
Right. I mean, this is what I mean when we are striving as Unity Analytics to take the heavy lifting out of using analytics, right? We've heard from a lot of developers that they appreciate a tool like Standard Events because it's almost like a guide in terms of telling them what the important things are to track about their game.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of the guesswork out of having to do it themselves.
There were these guys, I'll just mention quickly, that contacted us. The game's called Dragon Boom by Ankama Studios. They made a great game, and the game's been very successful in its launch, but they didn't know a lot about analytics. It was like they were sort of, what questions do we want to answer? They found Standard Events. They implemented practically the entire library. There's 34 events. They implemented almost all of them, and instantly they could make funnels that were clear to them. They could get information out of them. They could add custom information to the standard events to really tease out the details that made understanding their players much clearer to them.
So if you're someone who's in their position, wanting to get into all of this, what's the easiest way for you to, figure out how to use these tools?
Well, to start, it's right in Unity. There's the services window. You flip a switch, analytics is turned on. So there's no SDK.
Excellent.
I would suggest...
You do have to click one button, though.
You do have to, well, actually, it is actually on by default.
Oh, okay, so you don't even have
so
to
you
click
don't
a
necessarily even have to do that.
Okay.
But yeah, otherwise you would just turn it on. But then download the standard events package from the asset store.
Okay.
Follow down. So with code completion, it pretty much just tells you what all the events are. You can just look and go, okay, there's a level start event, there's a level complete event, there's a start. So just go down that list, and from turning it on and implementing the standard events, you will have about 90% of what like a pro analytics person would have. From there, obviously, we'll provide a lot of support to help you maybe figure out how to look at a chart and maybe how to build your own funnels, things like that, that'll make analytics just so much easier to get going on.
So there is like support and tutorials on how to actually take advantage of this.
We've got all kinds of stuff there to help. Because we know, look, Unity developers as a whole are genius game developers. That's why they do what they, right? That's the whole point. Not all of them know the world of analytics. It's a different space. And what we're trying to do is we want to make this easy on you. We want this to not be something that you have to be an expert in order to get value.
All right.
What I always tell game developers is, what's the harm, right? Like, it's your data is always yours, and you never know if you're going to have, if your game is ever going to take off. Let us, just turn it on, collect the data, and one day, if you ever do need it, you'll have it right there.
All right, thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you, guys. It was great.
Thank you.
All right, and we are up next with Chris White. He is the Principal Program Manager for Microsoft Windows Mixed Reality. So stay tuned. We'll be back after a short break. Welcome back. We are here at Unite Austin Live. Again, I'm Sarah, and this is Will. We're
Hello.
both from Unity. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube or Facebook. We now have a special guest from Microsoft Windows Mixed Reality, Chris White. You are the Principal Program Manager. It's a lot to say in one sentence.
It is.
So tell us a little bit about the new device lineup. There's a lot going on with Windows Mixed Reality right now.
Sure. So there are several devices from different manufacturers that are available very soon. We just announced that there is an additional device from Samsung.
Okay.
So there are a number of different devices from different vendors, from Dell, HP, Lenovo, Acer, all of which have relatively similar specs, but some slightly different features and price points.
Okay.
And then Samsung's just announced a slightly more premium device with an OLED screen, higher vertical field of view, things like that.
Okay. So I was able to try the Acer headset at Microsoft Build earlier this year. Are they all similar in terms of that price and style?
Yeah, so most of the devices are similar,
Okay.
but because we work with third parties to actually build the devices, there is a range of features and of price points and details, but all built on a common core of technology so that everything just works for developers.
And where can people find info on the differences between the devices?
So we have links out on our website,
Okay.
Which we can share information about.
Okay, cool. And as far as actually building for Microsoft Windows Mixed Reality, how do you get started? You can use Unity, right?
Yeah, so almost everybody builds using Unity. Unity is definitely the premier development experience that we have, which is a partnership we started back in the HoloLens days. There's a tremendous amount of shared technology between the immersive headsets and the HoloLens, the inside-out tracker that we have that lets you just sort of start a space without putting up lighthouses and things like that.
No, like setting up the
That's
devices, right? It's a lot simpler.
It is.
Okay.
And so from a developer perspective, it means that there's a common set of APIs that cross between the different devices that exist in our platform. So whether you're targeting something like HoloLens or you're targeting the new immersive devices, you have a common set of core APIs.
So you can target all of those devices from the different manufacturers with the one API.
You absolutely can.
Okay.
So that's actually a special and simpler case. All of the devices that are the immersive headsets, by default, you do target all of them. And if there are new manufacturers that come out, the platform should take care of the things to just make things work.
Okay, great.
But high level, getting started with Unity is absolutely a great start. For anybody who has existing content that is off in some other part of the world, but that is Unity content, one of the things that Unity does a fantastic job of is making it super easy to port content. And so we would love to have people come and join our party.
Yeah, I've actually seen a game that was made for the Vive originally, and we were easily able to port it over and get it running on Windows Mixed Reality. So.
Yep, and so we've worked with a lot of partners who are doing that, and certainly Unity has done a large investment to make that easy for people.
Yeah.
So as a strategy, is that something that you at Microsoft are kind of trying to broaden the audience for VR and these kind of things?
Yeah, so absolutely. So we do think that VR is going to be a big thing and that mixed reality in all its forms will be a very big thing. We've made a big push to expose mixed reality capabilities to a much broader range of hardware devices. So there's a broad range of machines that will be out this year that have never been in the class of machines that could be used to target virtual reality that now will be able to if you're working against Windows Mixed Reality. So that's ranging from thin laptops with integrated GPUs all the way up to the sort of traditional crazy 1070, 1080 gamer rigs
the big rigs.
I have at home. But
So once people actually create their experience, they can publish it on UWP or Steam, correct?
Yes, so I'll take a second and talk about the Steam one. The primary path is definitely UWP and publishing through the Windows Store. So that's the area where we have the most investment. It's where new APIs and feature sets are going to come out first. There was just an announce about Steam Bridge.
Okay.
And there's a lot of information that we'll be sharing coming up about it. At a high level, it means that people can bring their Steam content, their Steam VR content, and use it on Windows Mixed Reality. And it's opening soon as a developer preview. So it's going to be focused on first having the developers go and work through their content, make sure that things work on the new systems, on the new hardware, go and do whatever tweaks that they have to. So, some easy examples like controllers are slightly different between the Windows Mixed Reality stuff and the existing controllers, which map actually surprisingly well, but there will be some differences in
differences here and there.
The weight of them is different. So if you are doing a flicking motion, you want to tune your tune your gameplay just a little bit. So there will be minor things around tuning gameplay and pieces like that. But high level, people will be able to bring Steam content directly over. Now, we still think that UWP is the best path, and there are certainly a lot of people who are on Steam today, but are doing the investment to come across UWP because of the additional things that they get. So they get, first of all, merchandising through the Windows Store. That's the only path if you want us to play with the Xbox Live feature set. So if you want to do achievements and the other pieces that exist in Xbox Live, UWP is the only path for that. And looking forward, as we add new features and new functionality, those things will be available to the things that built in UWP, but not to the things that exist over in Steam, because the Steam app is really a Steam app. It's just an OpenVR application, and what we'll be shipping is a driver, effectively, that makes OpenVR work on.
Okay, so that's what's going on today with the mixed reality stuff. Like, where do you see this stuff going next? Obviously, HoloLens was quite a big surprise to a lot of people as a product, as a platform. Like, what do you see as the next thing for you guys? If I can tease that out of you.
Yeah, I mean, so the next big thing is going to be October 17th when we launch.
Yay!
True.
And then we'll spend some time thinking about what comes after that. But right now, we're all laser focused on making it a great launch.
Do you often feel that you're sort of steered a bit by the kind of content that people end up making for the platforms anyway?
I think that there is some degree to which that is true. Like, you learn from your customers, and what people are building absolutely is important. There are also, for different devices, there will be different classes of content that sort of emerge and are effective. In early HoloLens days, we worked on mainly commercial pieces because of the use cases that the device supports were
of course.
More attuned to that.
Awesome. So the date again was October
17th.
17th. Okay,
Awesome.
And that's been etched into your mind for some time now, I imagine.
It has.
All right.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you, Chris, for joining us on that. It's very interesting, and I hope that people check out Windows Mixed Reality. Where can people go? Like, where's the best URL for people to check out this and get onboarded into that world?
I should know that off the top of my head. So the Developer Center, you can get to at aka.ms/MR.
Okay.
Or you go on Bing and you search.
I mean, I guess you could. The Developer Center is on the Windows Developer Center, so we're at developer.microsoft.com/windows/mixed reality. So for people, most of the people in your audience are going to be most interested in that stuff. And if anybody had experience working with HoloLens, it's the same Developer Center. It's the same content, which has been updated to add the new devices and new capabilities.
Awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, Chris. We're going to take a short break, and next up we have Carl and Ashley, two of my favorite colleagues from Unity, to talk about our global evangelism events.
You are losing 97% of paid gamers in Southeast Asia. Why is this so? You've just developed a game and you want to market it to this region. Publishers and experts in this field would often advise that it is an extremely difficult market to penetrate. Fast forward, mobile games storm the world, and Southeast Asia is one of the fastest growing markets. Monetization is now not just a want, but a need. But then you realised your marketing efforts were not gaining any returns. This is because gamers are paying through scratch cards and local telcos, not through the main distribution channels. After all, credit card penetration in some regions can be as low as 3%. That's a little discouraging. The time, effort and money you've put in had gone to waste. There's got to be something to change this. Integrate Cloud Moolah. Here's how you do it. Enable and choose in-app purchase services. Choose Target Cloud Moolah. Build and run on Android. On Cloud Moolah Developers Portal, add your game. Proceed to add your APK. And there it is, you're done. Besides helping you to monetize your game, we can also be your partner in entering Southeast Asia. Come and join the community of developers who are using Cloud Moolah too. Integrate Cloud Moolah and start earning Moolah today.
Outside of LA right now in a mine. It's a desolate mine. We're going to do something which is I've always wanted to do, which is really cool. You just get that weird randomness. You know, you get it for free. It feels like World War I in there with mustard gas. It's not easy. It's for sure not easy. The world is going to look as close to real as we can get to in a real-time engine.
Okay.
Welcome back to Unite Live Austin here at the Austin Convention Center. Thanks for joining us on YouTube and Facebook. We are here with Carl and Ashley from the Evangelism team. What is evangelism? What do we do?
What is evangelism, Carl?
That's a question for you, Carl.
Evangelism is at the core of our of Unity. The reason is that Unity grew from the grassroots. We really worked with the people who actually made the games, who actually programmed, who did the artists. And we always want to be in touch with them, to learn from them, to make our products better. And that's why we implemented evangelism in Unity, to really go all over and find the people that we can work with to make the product better, but also support them, like providing them with new materials, new tutorials, so that they can also spread the word and be an evangelist themselves at Unity.
So it's about kind of building relationships and then having those people build even more relationships.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah,
so what are the main kind of focuses for like the rest of this year? Like where do you travel to? Like, how do you pick where to go and what to focus on?
There's a few events coming up, right?
There are.
Just a few.
Really exciting. Just a few. A bunch of them. It's really exciting. So how we figure out what cities to go to, we go to where our communities are. Yeah. So we're in touch with a lot of local developers. We reach out to local Unity user groups, and we go and we see, like, where are developers, what are they doing, how can we help them? And so we do events like Unity Roadshows, we do talks at the user groups, and what we're doing now is that we have a series of full-day conferences called Unity Developer Days. So we're actually going to be touring in Latin America in late November, and we're going to go to a bunch of different cities and have these conferences where we speak about how to become a successful Unity developer. So we're going to have 2 conference tracks, which is Unity staff going to these cities to talk to the local developers, and also giving local developers a platform to speak to their fellow community members in order to increase that community engagement and have everybody work together, because the whole point of evangelism also is just like bringing the community together around Unity, uniting everybody.
Nice.
One little point to add to this, I find very interesting, know that we had Profitt talks about Connect here, that we actually finding those speakers through the Connect platform.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So we have at New York City, we had one also, people come to demo the games, and we find them through the Unity Connect platform. So it's really having in phase with also the online community are melting together. So that's something very exciting.
Yeah.
But I think you can speak a little bit also about the upcoming events in Latin America.
Yeah, the developer days.
Yeah.
So we have the developer days in, first we're going to be in Bogota, Colombia, and Sao Paulo, Brazil, Santiago, Chile, and Buenos Aires, Argentina. So those are the 4 cities that we're coming to next for Developer Day. If you want to find out the events for Developer Days or any other Unity events, all you have to do is go to unity3d.com/events, and you'll find all the information there. Go there, check out the dates. If you're in any of those cities in Argentina, Brazil, and you let us know. Come to the events. We'd love to have you. We'd love to see them. Yeah.
So if you're someone who's not ever been to these things before, what's the experience like if I'm going to a Developer Day? What do you do there? What do you learn?
It's so much. It's really exciting. So you have tons of options to like whatever your preference is. If you want to go there to check out Unity games and find some inspiration, we have a Made with Unity showcase that highlights projects made in each country. And so we also have our talks by Unity staff, and those are expert level talks that you can go and find out really in depth about different tools like particle effects. And Sarah has done some wonderful talks at our Developer Days about.
I'm an expert?
Yes, you are. You are an amazing expert at XR, and we loved having you at our Developer Days. And so we have talks like that by wonderful people like Sarah at our Developer Day events. And then we also have the local community members who are speaking to more on a local level, hey, I'm a developer in your region. I feel what you're feeling in regards to your development community and what your struggles are. Here, let me help you. And so no matter kind of where you are in your development, whether you're a beginner or you're an advanced developer, you can find something at the Developer Day events.
So really, I mean, for people who are watching at home, they're not able to come to a Unite. These are like mini Unites, right?
They are. They're basically, mini Unites.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think they're super fun. I just went to the one in New York, of course, and it was so cool to see all the Made with Unity games that are just made in New York, and then getting everyone together. And even so, one of my friends had just moved to New York, and he came by and he was like, "Oh wow, I didn't realize there were so many other Unity developers here." So it was a great way to meet people and connect.
That's exactly it. And so, the whole thing is like you said, we're finding a lot of people. We're saying hey, we don't know other Unity creators in our area. That's why Unity Connect has been super useful. The Developer Days have been really great, and that's why we're going on the road. We're actually going to do a lot more Developer Days in 2018. We're going to do more across the United States and Canada. And we also have plenty of international events as well that Carl can talk about.
Cool. So Unite is here in the United States, but we really also have a Unite upcoming in Melbourne, Singapore, and India.
Nice.
So I'm
Those
super
are
excited.
all this next month, right?
They October 23 in Melbourne, November 2 and 3 in Singapore.
And you're going to all of them, right?
I'm going to all of them. So we'll be on the road a lot. But the reason why I'm going is, for me, is also to learn. And at Unite Melbourne is something super interesting. Our lead principal engineer, our friend Dio Gonzalez, will be there. So he will give a really interesting talk of what the future of VR looks like. So I'm super excited about that. And then there's another talk about from Mark Tannenboom, who just was here on stage. He's talking about analytics, but what I really like about it, he's really showing from a practical viewpoint. Zynga is joining him on stage, and they will be explaining how he can engage with users using analytics. Nice. So that is something super exciting. And then, of course, it is something very close to my heart is Unite Singapore. Brett Bibby, or VP Engineering, who's originally from, who used to live in KL.
And worked with you, right?
Was that?
He worked with you as well.
Yes, he was an evangelist. So I was super excited. He will be the keynote host. So it will be probably deep technical. So I'm sharing here all information that is not public yet, but I'm sharing it.
It's okay. There's not that many people watching.
And there will be also
it's just live on Facebook and YouTube. So.
No big deal.
There's also a talk about AI and machine learning by Jay Santos there.
Oh,
so I'm super excited to learn myself on that too.
So with these kind of events, I'm always curious, how do we go about finding new communities of people? You talked before about how we can be driven by local user groups and say, well, that's a good place to do an event. But how do we kind of foster areas where there's not that much going on, or at least the people aren't well connected?
So one thing that we do is actually we visit lots of local schools and universities because there's so many emerging talent no matter where you go. Computer science, digital design, all these topics are super popular for people entering college right now and who are studying these as their majors. Now, compared to before, there's so many people getting their bachelor's or master's in game development. And so we go to these different colleges all around. We meet with the students, we talk to them, we help them. A lot of the user groups were founded by meeting with these new groups of developers and saying hey, if you make something in your city, we'll support you, we'll come visit you, we'll send you swag, we'll talk. And so that's how we kind of find and create these communities together. And then Carl is doing a wonderful job of finding all these people that are using Unity that aren't for games. And it's really exciting to see how many people are using Unity from everything from medical science to automotive to AR applications, XR work. It's like a lot of people doing different things. They have their own meetups and separate meetup communities all around the world. And so we go to them too and we say like, hey, like making things with Unity isn't all about games. Like you're welcome in our community as well. And so we make sure that they're included.
We enable everybody to create user groups and encourage that so you can share knowledge. And that's why when you go to our website, the Unity Meetup, that there we can find information on how to start your own user group.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask.
And it's so unbelievable. Just recently I got an email, somebody from Bermuda.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to go.
That sounds nice. Can I come?
Nice, well played. Cool, well thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Of course,
we
thank you.
are out of time, unfortunately, but hopefully everyone will see you around the world at these events.
Yes. Absolutely. Again, you want to see where we are at unity3d.com/events. We hope to see you.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Okay, well, that is our show for this time, and this is our show for the rest of Austin Unite. We're going to go and enjoy some of the rest of the talks. And remember that you can catch up on all of these talks on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/unity3d. And we'll meet you out there in social media land as well. And we'll see you at the next Unite.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.